Okay, so I want to know, right? Or I keep on saying I want to know. We want to know.
Come on.
Nosotras, literal.
The fact, because it's a fact
Yeah.
that I'm going to get something wrong.
That's good.
That's really good.
But once I accepted that getting things wrong is a consistent part of language learning.
Hola todos.
Welcome back to another episode of Hermosas Chicas Negras with your hosts, Paula.
Diane,
And Ayo.
your amigas en línea, here to keep you encouraged and accountable on your journey to Spanish conversational fluency.
Come on now.
Okay.
So in our last episode, we spoke about what did we actually speak about in our last episode?
What does it mean to be fluent?
Yes,
Come on,
exactly,
that is exactly what we spoke about. And today we're speaking about, overcoming this. I was about to call it a thing. I think I low-key feel like I can call it a thing, but just like, I guess fear as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And overcoming this fear. So I'm just going to hand the conversation straight over to you, Diane, right? Because I feel like you got this. So like,
got this.
talk to us about this. Talk
Why,
to us.
thank you.
Darling, you're
when
welcome.
it comes to fear, we generally, as Spanish learners, even just language learners in general,
Yeah.
we have a general fear of like, whether it be starting up or speaking.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, no, it's all right. Like when people ask you, when you tell people, oh yeah, I know Spanish. All right, say something.
something then.
And your first thing is just, oh, I don't know. Actually, like I know it, but I don't know it like that. So we wanted to kind of speak to you guys about breaking down what that actual thing
Yeah,
is.
that's good.
So for some people, it may be a fear of being made fun of.
Yeah.
For some people, it is the fear of not knowing enough.
That's good. That's
Fear
good.
of being inadequate. That one there is deep, but
That's
it's
painful.
real.
Yeah.
It's real.
That's good.
And one thing that we definitely want to do in this podcast is let you guys know the real when it comes to language learning.
That's good.
And fear is a part of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something for us to overcome. So for myself, I'll start. If
You can start. You can
Yes.
start, sister.
one thing for me at the beginning, which we spoke about in our last episode, if you haven't watched it, you definitely should.
Absolutely.
Was I had a really big fear of speaking, and it came from being made fun of. Like I didn't want to open my mouth and be like, oh yeah, and say with all vim, like, okay, yeah, I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And then for someone to approach me or to have a conversation and I couldn't respond.
Right.
What?
Right.
Sorry, I'm not here to be embarrassed. I'm just not here to
not
be
for me.
embarrassed. Like, but I think one thing that I had to learn when it comes to fear of being made fun of, number one, most people that you speak to, they're so like excited by
Yeah.
the fact that you have communicated to them in a language that is not your own.
That's true. That's
or may
true.
or may not be your own, that it takes away from that perceived response that you're going to get
Yeah,
of,
that's
oh
true.
wow, she says she can speak Spanish, but actually
That's true.
you're saying hola instead of hola. Do you know what I mean? But really and
Do
truly,
you know
like,
how funny that is?
no, because I think when you're thinking about the fear itself, it makes you magnify things that haven't even happened.
Yes.
They haven't even happened yet.
They haven't
So
even
you
happened
think
yet.
that people are going to have this really negative response. At
That's
least
good.
I did. But whenever I spoke to people, they were so receptive,
Yeah.
so accepting of the fact that I was communicating to them in another language. And the first thing that they always ask is, oh my gosh, like how? Like,
See?
how did you do it? Do you know what I mean? Even small Spanish, do you know what I mean? Like 2 sentences and they're
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be really, really mindful about not amplifying or magnifying a fear that more often than not is not even going to come to pass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
But for you two, for you, Ayo, have you had any experience of fear or lack of confidence when it comes to speaking Spanish or communicating?
Absolutely. I would say that for me, one of the biggest fears when it comes to communicating Spanish is when I'm speaking to native speakers. Because I'm like, and I feel like this is why, so I don't know why, so to all my mis hermosas in me connect group, I just literally had a brain freeze there, like my Bible study group in Mexico, which I mentioned in the last video, whenever I'm speaking and it's my time to unmute, I get so nervous. And to me, it's like they're gonna know. They know the language, so they're going to be able to hear my errors. They're going to be able to hear that I didn't use the subjunctive, or I didn't conjugate properly, or I said me, or what are these other, like, I don't even know.
Instead of el.
Exactly. Do you know, it was femenino, masculino, feminine, masculine, and stuff like that. Like, that fear really cripples me sometimes. And I
Yeah.
think about it, I'm just like, why am I so fearful? And it's just like this whole part of me that, and I mentioned this in episode 1, there's a part of me where I have the tendency to want to be a perfectionist. So it's almost like if I'm going to come to you, I want to present myself as my best. And because you know that I'm making a mistake, that fear is that,
my
oh my gosh, you know? So I would say that for me, and yeah, we'll speak about like how we're, you know,
Overcome
actively
it.
overcoming
Yeah,
this
of
as we
course.
go along. So yeah, let's pass this over to you, Paula.
Yeah, of course. In one of the previous episodes, if you want to listen or watch back, I mentioned being dyslexic and how that really impacts my language learning journey.
Right.
Where even with English as it is, I didn't learn to read the conventional way, or I should say the neurotypical way.
Right.
The way that my brain learned or taught me to read, or the way I learned to read, was more the shape of the word.
Right.
So I don't actually read letters, which still cracks me up to this day, because I was really out here being predicted A's. I was getting A's at school the whole time being dyslexic. I was actually diagnosed at age 21.
Wow.
So I really did almost my whole education. I was halfway through my degree and then found out that, hey, you've actually just been like overcompensating for the fact that you can't read the same way. And so it manifests itself in Spanish a lot, where, and I say this to the girls all the time, I will see a word in Spanish. I'll see the first letter, I'll see the second letter, I'll see how many letters this word is. My brain won't read the phonetics, the phonetics of the word.
Yeah.
It will just say, it starts with this letter, ends with this letter, it's this many letters, it's probably this word.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear me mix up words a lot that are similar sounding or look similar, more than actually pronouncing incorrectly. So one of the works that I've been doing with Ayo is actually pronouncing letters, because I don't really do phonetics in general. And so just being aware of that is a huge fear speaking out loud, because I'm so like, what if I say, I don't know, something else, let's say another word instead of this word. And so that's a real fear that I have. And I know it's something that, you know, if I want to speak Spanish, like, hello, open your mouth. I'm going to have to speak. So
Yeah. I think actually it's really interesting. We've all come back to a similar point of just getting things wrong. And I think that when you do learn a language, I think we all have somewhat perfectionist tendencies. The society that we live in right now.
True.
It definitely promotes perfectionism.
And it demonizes doing things wrong.
100%. But in learning a language, and I think you said it in the last episode, when kids learn languages, they get things wrong all the time.
Absolutely.
Their sentences are broken.
Absolutely.
There's no I want ice cream, it's ice cream mummy. That's
it.
Do you know what I mean?
Facts.
Do you know what I mean? But we don't afford ourselves the same grace
That's
when
good.
we're learning it, especially because of the whole adults
That's good. Yeah.
situation.
Absolutely.
But you have to understand, when you're learning another language, you're learning another language.
Absolutely.
It's
a skill.
It is a skill.
Yeah.
It is a skill. And it's a whole different form of communication.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. So you really have to afford yourself the grace to make mistakes.
Facts.
Do you know what I mean? There is grace to make mistakes when learning a language.
Yeah.
And really and truly, like, people say this all the time, but if you're not failing, you're not trying.
That's good. That's good.
You know? So I would definitely say, if you do have any sort of fear, whether it be the fear of speaking to natives or putting yourself out there, just try. Just try.
And even when you
Honestly.
guys were talking, so especially when you said, Ayo, about speaking to your Connect group in Mexico and how these are native speakers and they will obviously know your mistakes and stuff.
Yeah.
I said this in a previous episode, I have never had a bad experience with a Spanish speaker. Ever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you guys have had more years. Have you ever had like a Spanish speaker like, ew, what's that? That's disgusting.
Not at all.
Listen,
Far from.
I can't stress how this is
Never.
this is not the language for that. Like, when I learned French, when I was learning French, I definitely had, and this is not to call out French, but I had French speaking people that were like, oh, sorry, I can't understand you. Ew, I can't understand. They were very like, your French isn't making sense. Spanish people, you are speaking broken Spanish. You're barely communicating, and these lot have gone out of their ways to understand you.
Yeah.
And they
That's
rarely
good.
ever turn around and be like, I don't understand, sorry, or sorry.
Yeah.
They're always, and you even have them trying to speak English and help you along and
Yeah.
stuff. So when I tell you that it's so funny that we all have come back to the same thing of these people know we're doing it wrong. They
Yeah.
don't care. They're
They
just
don't
happy we're trying the
care.
language.
Honestly.
Yeah.
They're
Do you
just
know-
happy.
Do you know what? Yeah, as you were talking, I feel like I want to mix it up a little bit. So we're all agreeing on this, right? So first thing I want to say about the whole Bible study group is all of the time they're like, oh, hermosa, ayo, da-da-da-da-da, your Spanish is so good. So that's that. So thank you so much to everyone in my Connect group. But the second thing I want to say, what do you say then to the person who's watching, who's listening, and who says, but what if I am making a mistake and no one's correcting me? That's an issue. How am I going to learn if...
I mean, you can tell them. If you have a relationship with people, this is why I'm always a big advocate for community. I believe healing happens in community, in transparency, everything.
Does.
If you have a relationship with these people, just tell them, if I make a mistake, correct me, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
right.
why I
So being
enjoy-
explicit.
Being explicit. This is what I enjoy about apps like Tandem.
Right.
You actually label your profile to say, correct me, like you can correct people's like grammatical mistakes.
Okay.
And there's levels. There's correct every mistake I make, which can be a bit jarring for some people like me. Then there's correct any major mistakes I make, correct any grammatical mistakes I make.
Right.
And things like that. And people are very receptive to that. Like I literally have people like, can I correct this? And I'm like, oh, you don't even have to ask, just do you could change it on the app.
Yeah.
In the same way, like we're friends and they know that, no, you mean this, and they can say that to me. So if you think, oh, I'm making mistakes, I could be chatting rubbish, just tell people to correct you, and they will. And more times than not, they do it very nicely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even nicer than in English. So
That's a good takeaway for me, because now what I'm going to say is when I do speak up in Bible study, I'm just going to say to them, hey, like, if I make a mistake, por favor, let me know.
Yeah.
Because you're right, I've never said that before I speak. So that's a good shout. I love that.
I'm in
Amazing.
100% agreement with what Paula just said.
thanks, friend. Gracias.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, so I want to know, right? Or I keep on saying I want to know. We want to know.
Come on.
Nosotras.
Nosotras, literal. So like, what would you say then are some, so I feel maybe, because this episode I feel like is going to be quite short, because this topic is pretty much straight to the point, right? We're not going to go round and round in circles, but like, what are some, maybe if we all give like one tip for, I guess,
that fear?
overcoming this fear. So what was your fear again? Remind us. Speaking
out loud.
And Deanne, yours was?
Being made fun of.
Being made fun of. And mine was, what was mine again?
Did you go?
Oh yeah, getting it wrong.
Yes.
Getting it wrong. Okay, cool. So based on the fears that we've just mentioned, knowing that this is the people listening and watching are going to be able to identify with this, what would you say, Paula, is one of your things for overcoming your fear?
That's good.
And
do you know
especially
what?
as you're going through it as well. So we're not speaking hypothetical.
Like, these
like,
are
this
real
is-
life.
These are real life,
This
right?
is what I was going to say. I love that we're doing our own, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll answer Deanne's, and like Deanne's answer. I'm answering my own fear.
Yeah.
Like that's very good, very very real.
Yeah.
So my fear is speaking out loud, just because already in English, like I struggle with like speaking out loud, even though I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
My way of overcoming it, and it sounds really, hear me out, it sounds kind of wild, is fake it till you make it. What you know, keep pushing it with that.
Yeah, that's
and then
good.
you start to realize that you know more than you thought.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So I had an example in English where I felt like I was inadequate, or I had super major imposter syndrome where I couldn't do something.
Right.
And then I reminded myself, actually, I've got the degree in this, or I've studied this, I've worked in this before. It's similar, but I can kind of manage around it. And then I also paid for a guide to understand more about it. So if you want to translate that into Spanish, if your fear is I'm not good enough in speaking about household chores, cool, but wash the plates. Let's start with I can wash the plates.
Yeah.
What you don't know will come. Let's start with that. Let's start with opening our mouth in that bit.
That's good.
And so I think I've now got to a point where I will speak in Spanglish, and I'm very grateful for Spanglish. Because I will know loads of words, but I won't know how to connect them. And so that's why we often, even on this podcast, you hear us say a word or two in Spanish. Like, start with that. Start with that. And that's what I'm doing. So that's
really
my
good.
overcoming the process.
Really, really, really good.
Love that. I love that. I'll go next. So I would say my fear was the perfectionist and getting it wrong. Oh, this is real. Let me actually think about this. Okay, cool. So what do I need to do to overcome this? I would say probably, not even probably, because I've started doing this, is confronting the fear.
That's good.
And so I'm on this journey now, and I'm like, okay, cool. Why is it that you are nervous to get things wrong? That takes me in my own private time, in my quiet time, to journal and be like, why is this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because when I got things wrong in other areas, this was the result of this. Okay. When I got something wrong in this area, I felt rejected. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I was adequate. I didn't feel like I was smart enough. So as I'm actually journaling, because really and truly, the insecurities and the fears we have in Spanish, being the vehicle, like we mentioned last episode, is really and truly just the manifestation of the things that we haven't dealt with in the root cause in another area.
That's right.
So it's manifesting in this gift of Spanish, but really and truly, that's not the issue.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say I've started it, and just to continue confronting it with actually understanding what the root cause is, and understanding that root cause is what I need to deal with. So just on a really practical thing, as I've mentioned, as I'm preparing for this speaking engagement next year in Mexico, I realized, and I shared this with both of you last 2 weeks ago, I think, in our group chat, is that I'm in the stage now preparing where I'm trying to connect with my personal story. Ayo is trying to script her personal story and then learn it. But my coach is saying to me, Ayo, if you want to be boring and just read off a slide, let's do this. You can memorize a script. But if you want to connect with those girls and make the impact that I know you are capable of and what you already do in English, I'm going to, and then she says, conéctate. And she goes like this, Señora Marcela, this is you. This is for you. Conéctate con tu historia. Like connect with yourself, connect to your story. And that, I realized the reason why I'm scared to do that, connect with my story, is because it's not scripted. What if I make a mistake on the spot? I can't rehearse it. But what I'm realizing that, oh no, I need to confront that. So I did an exercise last week, or started 2 weeks ago now, started brainstorming. So what I realized, first identify the root cause, identify the fear, and then confront it and come up with an action plan. So that's how I'm confronting mine.
Really good point.
We're giving you practical here.
No, it's important to be practical because I think you
and
can
real.
You can talk about a lot of things in theory, but people need tangible. Okay, I understand. I have the same sentiment, but what do I do about it?
What do I do? Where do we go from here?
You know what I mean?
I'm looking at you. You're looking at me.
What do we do?
Definitely. As for me, the fear of being made fun of, practically. Do you know what? I think mine is a little bit interesting just because it didn't even start with me when it came to how I solved it. So my big thing was, I'm coming into this new language and I know I'm bound to make loads of mistakes, and every other person who knows this language is already perfect. And what helped me the most was actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar, there's a YouTuber, she is a Dominican YouTuber, and her name is Monica Salmuz. She speaks Spanish, but she's very, very open with the fact that her Spanish is very broken. And she, in some of her videos, she speaks Spanish, and you'll often hear like her brother correcting her, or she'll ask like whoever is around her at the time, like, how do you say da 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 da? And for me, that was mind blowing. I was like, so you can be a part, like actually born into the culture, born and bred in the culture, in like as part of who you are, and still not get everything right.
That's true.
So me, who's only just decided to pick up this language, who am I to not afford myself the chance, the opportunity, the grace to make mistakes?
That's good.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's good.
If this person who knows this language, who is a part of the culture, that is a part of the language, so to speak, if they're not being made fun of for not being able to communicate or not even communicate, because everything is being communicated very well. If they're not able to express their ideas in the way that they think them, and no one is saying anything, why would someone say something to me? Because the only person who knows that I haven't expressed everything is me.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Do you know what I mean?
That's good.
If you're using what you know, the only person that knows, do you know what, there was more that I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it, is you.
That's true.
And that's when you take up, I was about to be so Christian and say, take up your cross.
Preach.
That's when you take the initiative to think about, okay, this is what I wanted to say. This is what I actually said. What are the words for what I wanted to say? The rest that I didn't actually get to say. Do you know what I mean?
That's really good.
As far as like people making fun of you, you know what? In the majority of times, no one's going to say anything. You may come across someone who does say something. Is that going to stop you from learning the entire language?
Like, would you actually fall down? Will you fall down?
That's true.
If someone says, "Oh no, you said this wrong," did you lose an arm? I'm not even trying to be mean or like blunt about it, but I had to tell myself, if you get it wrong, no one is collapsing
That's
right
Yeah.
facts. That's
now. Like,
facts.
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, next time I know. Like, if you're corrected as well, you often remember being corrected.
Yeah.
So you actually won't make mistake that makes sense the
Absolutely.
next time.
Yeah.
So it's even better. Like,
Yeah.
that is the fear more than it is actually happening.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
So then, based on what you just said, then Deanne, so for me, I'm hearing more of a mindset shift for you in terms of correcting.
Yes.
So can you clarify?
Yeah.
Because people listening, watching may well be able to identify with you. So can you clarify in your own words what you're saying, how you're overcoming that fear is?
Okay. All right, let me sit up for this.
No,
Sit up.
whoa, okay, whoa, okay.
Sister, sit up.
So I would say the old mindset was, I'm going to get it wrong and they're going to make fun of me.
Right.
I guess the new mindset, and I think it's interesting because I think it was definitely something that was subconscious,
Right.
but it just changed to, I'm going to get things wrong and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't,
lovely.
sometimes it's not this big outlandish
Right.
thing. It was just an acceptance of, because the issue for me was I was rejecting the fact, because it's a fact
Yeah.
that I'm going
Gonna
to get something wrong.
That's good.
That's really good.
But once
good.
I accepted that getting things wrong is a consistent part of language learning, I was
Yes.
able to do what I need to do. Even like throughout the podcast, you'll hear us saying things. And even when we watch back, I'll be like, oh, Deanne, that conjugation was incorrect. Incorrect. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from all of the things that we have already
That's
learned and
good.
taken from this language.
That's good.
Do you know
That's
what I
a
mean?
word.
That's
It's a
good.
part of the process, and it's only in getting it wrong that you will find out how to do it right.
Una palabra.
She came.
All through this series, if you kept hearing me say una palabra, it's a word, like the one word. But I mean it as like, no, that's actually
A word.
a word. Like,
Like,
it's something you
she's
need to take
spitting
away.
bars.
You're spitting bars. Like,
Yeah.
something you need to take away.
Guys.
Like, that is good. And do you know, oh my goodness, I literally was going to say it's bounce off something you said and it's just skipped my mind. I'll say it if it comes back to me. But yeah, that was honestly
That was
just
good.
Thank you.
so good. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Encouraging.
Well, I guess I would pose the same question to you because I think all of us had to go through some form of mindset shift. So in terms of perfectionism, what would you say that your shift was?
Ooh,
Even in terms
that's
of delivering your workshop,
Right.
what was the shift internally? Because Senora Martina?
Senora Marcela.
Marcela, she can say
Marcela.
conéctate all that she
Sí,
wants, but
sí,
unless
sí, sí,
you
sí.
shift,
True.
nothing will change. So what was the shift that you went through?
The shift for me, and I'll keep on referring back to what you said, is just I'm a visual learner. Again, one of the ways I learn is visual. Just having, and this is also mixed in with my faith as well, understanding, having that something awaken on the inside of me, brought to light, and I would refer to it as a revelation, that Spanish is the vehicle. It is not the destination. The destination is for me to walk in my purpose, to set girls and young women free from bondage of self-hatred, bondage of even childhood trauma, abuse, just so many things, not to even go too deep here, but just me knowing who I am and what God has called me to do, walking in that purpose is what I know I am working towards.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of what God has called me to do in Latin America, that is just a vehicle to do the means as to what God has called
communicate.
me to do.
Yeah.
That is a vehicle to do the same mission, the same purpose. So I would say the shift for me was understanding that this is a vehicle for a greater purpose. So when I'm actually thinking of the mistakes, I'm too busy focused on me and not focused outwards.
Yeah.
That's really
So
good.
I would say
Yeah.
that was the shift for me. Like, it's about you because you need to do the preparation. But as a woman of faith, as a Christian, I'm co-partnering with God.
Yeah.
And also, so I'm doing the work I need to do, but I'm also recognizing that, hey, I can't afford to just be so in my head. Oh, okay, I didn't conjugate the past tense. You know what? I need to pattern up 2 hours straight. Boom. Can we go conjugation chart? Can we go comer, comes? No, say comer, comes. Okay, comías, comíaste, and all of these conjugations for context, like present, past, and future tense. Like, I could spend my time doing that, but then it's like out of context, and it's just so I would say that was a shift.
That's really
for me.
good.
That's really good.
Paula, what was your, I guess, mindset shift in terms of dealing with your fear or overcoming your fear?
Yeah.
I suppose it was two things. Understanding that most people's fear is speaking out loud as well. That I'm not abnormal for fearing to speak out loud. Because I kept being like, guys, it's just my phobia. It's just my phobia. Like, I literally wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, okay, no, most people are afraid to speak in another language they're learning. Like, it's not that different. So understanding that, number one. Number two, you two. You two, legit, like, because if it wasn't for these two lovely ladies next to me, I would have waited another 6 months before speaking.
Yeah.
Very comfortably. I would be in my house, like, and the thing is, what makes me laugh? I'd be going on Instagram story, doing stories like, hola guys. I say, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo están? I'll say, espero que estén bien. And then I'll be like, oi, and I'll say what I'm doing today. And people will be messaging me like, oh, you're doing so well, you're serious. And then I'll be like, I'll send them a screenshot on my camera roll where I'd filmed it 16 times before I had found one good one. And I realized that I had finally gotten over this fear of like putting out me speaking, however small and however short it was. Because I started talking. Yeah. Fair enough, it was still taking me like 15 takes to like do a small Instagram story video.
That's good.
But like 6 months ago, I wasn't even filming myself talking. Like I wasn't even recording myself talking. And it's so important to film yourself and to hear yourself, to watch yourself back.
That is
I had zero footage, and I'm a content creator. I had zero footage of me speaking Spanish because I had a real phobia of hearing me talk it. And now, because I have people that say, no, sis, you're going to actually speak, and encourage me when I do speak, I go and do it.
Definitely.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Do you know what, ladies? We've come to the end of season 1.
We did that.
Woo! God did that in and through us.
He did.
We did it
that.
with him.
Right.
We did it. We co-partnered with him. Yeah. But honestly, so this is our last season, and Deanne, I'm gonna hand over
last
to
episode.
Wow, sorry. Come back. Sorry. Wow, I meant to say the last episode of season 1. So really quickly before I hand over to you, Deanne, let's just do like, and we're probably gonna make this a tradition. I don't know, like one key takeaway that you've taken away from this
episode from this season.
Ooh,
that's a
great
question.
question.
We should do the season entirely.
Okay, let's do the season entire. Okay, so it was you shot, so you go.
One thing, key takeaway I take away from this season is, and I keep saying this, but community is so key in your language learning journey. As much as you can be teaching yourself like I am, some part of that journey is going to involve other people. And if it doesn't, you will really struggle to actually be conversational fluent.
Really
I love that.
That's really good.
What just came to me is that growth is inevitable when you're consistent.
That's good.
That's really
growth is inevitable.
Una palabra.
Yeah, honestly, growth is inevitable when you're consistent. Yeah, that's my key takeaway. How about you, Deanne?
For me, I would say that my key takeaway actually is you'll always make mistakes, but mistakes don't erase all that you've already done.
Come on.
Because literally throughout this season, I've caught myself, even during like playbacks and stuff, being like, that word, it didn't really come out like how I wanted it to, you know? Yeah. But that doesn't take away from all of the hours, all of the years, all of the time that I spent learning this language.
That's good.
It doesn't take away from all that I've already done and already overcome in this language. So even if my level may not be communicated right there in that moment, it doesn't erase the fact that I'm still there.
Come on.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't erase the fact that I'm still there. So I would say that has been my biggest takeaway of this season. I cannot believe we have finished season 1 of Hermosas Chicas Negras.
This vision that we had and is actually coming to reality. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to you both. I'm so grateful to God. Like this is like my heart all over. I'm so
100%. And we're grateful to you guys as well.
Yes, thank you for being on the journey with us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then, Deanne, what we got planned for season 2? Talk to us soon.
We have a lot of things planned for season 2, but most importantly, because we have our own things that we want to talk about when it comes to Spanish.
And we can
chat. No, guys, we can really chat. We can really chat.
Hablar es me.
But we want to hear from you guys as well. What do you want to hear from us? You know, we can talk about motivation. We can talk about, if you want to go more in depth with the things that we've already spoken about.
Yes.
If you want a whole episode about #language learning struggles,
yes,
let us know. We want to engage with what it is that you need on your Spanish journey, because it's about keeping you guys encouraged and accountable on your journeys to Spanish conversational fluency.
Absolutely.
And as you know, we will be 100% real about our own journeys. 100%.
Yes.
Because it's needed.
Yes.
It's really, really needed within the language learning community.
Definitely.
And that's what we want to be.
Absolutely.
For you guys.
For you. And to add to what you just said is, depending on when you're watching this, you might be watching this a year into this being released. Our DMs are open. Like, honestly, just, So we're talking about season 2 now, but please just be mindful of that. But
Definitely. Well, I guess that wraps up the last episode of season 1.
This is not goodbye though, because you will already be following us on Instagram and Facebook. You would already have left that nice little review on Apple Podcasts. You already have shared it with your friends. You guys are having listening parties.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We've been knowing.
Absolutely.
You know, we're already a part of the community. And so we just want to encourage you, if you aren't already, please do join, follow us on socials.
Please do.
And get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Because I was going to say, in the meantime, there may not be episodes, but we'll definitely still be on Instagram, on Facebook. The content does not stop. Guys.
Absolutely.
It really does not stop. We're about. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We will definitely be about to help to create the community, because that's what this is about. It's about facilitating community.
Absolutely.
So,
So on that note,
ciao.